Who says 30 can't be fun? The Columbus Square Bowling Palace is turning 30, and the fun has just begun. Come celebrate our birthday with us. With 64 lanes of bowling open 24 hours for fun with friends and family, no matter what time it is, there's always time at the Palace. The Palace is the perfect place to hold your birthday party or corporate employee groups. Call us today to make your reservation. 30 years old and better than new, with millions of dollars in renovations at the highest rated bowling center in Columbus, the Columbus Square Bowling Palace.
Sizemore's going to boot out to his right. He's looking for Carpenter, and he's got him. Touchdown! He finds Carpenter in the corner of the end zone on a boot play, and Otterbein has their first touchdown of the season. It's Sizemore to Carpenter, 7 yards, and they take the 6-0 lead here at homecoming.
There's Otterbein's first touchdown of the 2013 football season. A 7-yard pass from Ben Sizemore to Steve Carpenter gives him the lead and the eventual victory at homecoming. Thanks for watching Cardinal Kickoff, your exclusive source for all things Otterbein football, only on OTV, brought to you by the Columbus Square Bowling Palace. I'm David Kinder, joined in studio with Otterbein freshman Elijah Gonzalez. Elijah, how you doing?
I'm doing good, David. I'm ready to talk some Otterbein football.
Well, on Saturday, Otterbein got into the win column with a 30-14 victory over the Wilmington Quakers on homecoming. Now we're going to take a look at some of the highlights from the game, thanks to OTV's broadcast of the game on Saturday. Second Cardinal drive of the game, Steve Carpenter comes in motion and scores Otterbein's first touchdown of the year. Next possession, Wilmington retaliates with a 6-yard pass from Brandon Earhart to Kyle Akers to tie the game up at 7. Back and forth we go. Ben Sizemore hits Jeremy McCoy on the 1-yard line, who carries it over for the touchdown. However, with just 1 minute to play before halftime, freshman running back Zach Kruer ties the game on this draw play that goes for 41 yards. Momentum changer here. Zach Greaves pressures Earhart, who throws it into the hands of freshman linebacker Will Brett on the 9-yard line. Otterbein takes over in great field position. The Tannin Cardinal are unable to punch it in, but Alana Gaither makes good on a 20-yard field goal to give the Cards the lead. The offense would pick up momentum in the second half. Here Sizemore finds Carpenter for 20 yards. And here Drew Irvin has the honors of scoring the first rushing touchdown of the season, this one from 19 yards out. Later in the third quarter, Sizemore puts the game out of reach with his third passing touchdown. This one goes to Steve Carpenter for 16 yards. Otterbein victorious on homecoming. Brandon Earhart had a big day, but his 2 interceptions cost him. And for Otterbein, they were able to run the ball for 124 yards to open the game up and get the 30-14 victory. So the Cardinals are 1-1 now on the season. And Elijah, there were a lot of big plays in this game and a lot of great players who had standout games. And if I had to give an MVP award out in this game, it would go to senior cornerback Alex Cameron. He had a game-high 8 tackles, 1 for a loss, a pass breakup, and in the fourth quarter intercepted a pass to stop a Quaker drive and seal the fate of the game for the Cardinals. He played great coverage all day, shutting down one half of the field. Elijah, who gets your MVP trophy?
Well, David, my MVP is going to go to sophomore wide receiver Jeremy McCoy. He had a big game yesterday with Sizemore throwing in the ball. He had 9 receptions for 95 yards and a 19-yard touchdown reception. And with those amazing plays, David, I think that he has become another dangerous weapon for Sizemore along with Stephen Carpenter.
He certainly has on that outside. He now has a lot of dangerous weapons he can go to. Well, Otterbein was much more effective in this game than in Week 1's loss to St. John Fisher. Now we're going to take a look at some of those plays that went right for Coach Daub, thanks to John Bazika in a segment we like to call Under Further Review.
After further review,
first play on further review, Irvin takes the handoff, and one last week that would have been unsuccessful. This week is due to the big block up front by number 55, Josh Gabel. Great job to him. Then the big man is able to rumble, bumble, and stumble his way home to a touchdown 19 yards later. Next play, Earhart fades back. Great pressure, though, by Zach Greaves, the defensive lineman for the Otterbein Cardinals, disrupting this play. And Will Brett is there on the huge interception, but this play forced by Zach Greaves' pressure applied on Earhart. Final play here on Further Review. Here, Earhart fades back the short route run by Donahue, sells the route for Akers to go into the middle of the end zone, and his deeper post pattern allows him to be wide open, and the touchdown is scored by the Wilmington Quakers.
Last week, I had a chance to sit down with an Otterbein legend, Matt DeRazio. I got to meet up with him in the O Club to talk to him and see what he's been up to and how he feels about current Otterbein football. Kickoff, I'm here with Otterbein legend Matt DeRazio. For those of you at home who don't know, Matt was the starting quarterback for the Cardinals from 1996 to 1999. He holds almost all the school's major passing records. In 99 was first team Ohio All-Conference. After leaving the campus here in Westerville, he went to the Arena League where he played and won 2 Arena Bowl championships, Arena Bowl 20 and Arena Bowl 22. With the Chicago Rush and the Philadelphia Soul, respectively. Even played with the Columbus Destroyers for 2 years here in Columbus. So, Matt, how have you been recently?
Things have been great. Just living here in Columbus with wife and 3 kids and supporting the Cardinals.
How much have you had a chance to be a part of this Cardinal organization since you have left?
Once I graduated, I was on Coach Rocky Alt's staff for a year, and then with Coach Joe Loth for a year. And since then, always following the Cardinals, but kind of got re-engaged when Dawn Stewart was hired, and been here to support the Cardinals and her certainly.
I don't know how much you've been able to see recently, but what do you think of this current Cardinal team and of what the job Coach Tim Daup has done entering his second year as head coach now?
Well, if they're coming off a great year, 8-2 last year, and I think Tim Daup was a great hire, being an alum, understanding Otterbein football, and the players just, they really respect him and love him and go out there and give it their all for him and his staff. So if it's anything like last year, I think everybody's expecting great things this year.
Last year's team went 8-2, mainly because of quarterback Ben Sizemore, who got the start when Aaron Kincaid went down with an injury. What have you seen in him? What have you noticed that might remind you of yourself, or what do you just notice him as a passer? What do you like about him?
There's so much to like about him. I think the one thing that stands out is what you mentioned, a guy that maybe comes in the season thinking one thing and then gets the opportunity and steps up and delivers, and being prepared and taking advantage of that opportunity, if anything, would remind me of myself in those terms where he was there for his team, and when his number was called, he delivered.
It's been a decade since you last played your last game here for Otterbein. What's the biggest change in the culture you've noticed, or has there been much of one at all?
Yeah, I think it's only grown every year. I think there's that belief now when you go on the football field that you're going to win, and I think that's the biggest change. When I was here, we certainly prepared and felt like we could win games, but we weren't sure, even though we went out and won a few. But now I think those guys have put the time in. They know they have the support of everybody on campus and all the alums. And certainly had the facilities and everything around here to support them as well. So I think they're expecting to win.
After you left Otterbein, you went to play arena football, which is a little different than what you played here. Obviously, the field's only 50 yards long and things of that nature. What was the main difference that you noticed between playing regular gridiron football and moving inside to play in the arenas?
There wasn't too much difference. It was just, it's still football. It's still tackling, it's still blocking, it's still the fundamentals. Just an arena, it's kind of a special thing from the quarterback position where you get to throw 99% of the time. So it's kind of like a backyard football game where you're throwing all the time. And, being a quarterback, I really enjoyed that. So basics, fundamentals are the same, a little bit more throwing in arena.
We mentioned that you won the 2 Arena Bowls. What was that like, especially since you were named MVP of both of those after the game?
Just like anything, it was exciting. The MVPs, it's one of those things, and I'm not just saying this to say this, but it's a team award. Great receivers, great offensive line. A lot of guys made plays, and you just happened to be the guy that was pulling the trigger, so you got the trophies. But as far as winning the games, it was my whole philosophy in life is proving people right, and I was always kind of an underdog my whole life. So getting that opportunity and a coach saying, Matt, you got it, you got the reins, go for it. To see their faces after we had a championship really gave me a lot of gratification, just to see that they gave a long shot a chance and it paid through.
Would you say that those MVPs were the high point of your AFL career?
They were to a certain degree, but going back to the Otterbein career, I really met a lot of great people along the way and made a lot of great contacts, whether it be in coaches, players, owners. it just was a great thing for me and my family to travel around and meet some fantastic people.
You got out of playing football in 2009. What have you been doing since then?
Just plugging away with a sales job and enjoying it, staying close to football, still training some kids here and there, working a lot of football camps, getting a chance to do some games on TV, high school games and local college games, and calling those games, really just being a fan and saying talking about what I see. But mostly been keeping busy with my 3 kids. They get most of my attention.
Future Cardinals?
For sure. I would say, I mean, if they wanted to come here, I would say I'd be super proud. This place was great to me, and if they wanted to experience the same thing, I'd be happy.
Well, we thank you so much for your time, Matt. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you a lot around Memorial Stadium with the football season upcoming.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's certainly great to have Matt as an alum. Well, now we're going to take a break to hear a word from our sponsor, Columbus Square Bowling Palace.
Still up? Can't sleep? Looking for something to do? Come to a place where the fun never sleeps. Columbus Square Bowling Palace. It's been the premier bowling destination in Central Ohio for 30 years. With 64 lanes of bowling open 24 hours, no matter what time it is. There's always time at the Palace for fun with friends and family. Join the Night Owl regulars at Columbus Square Bowling Palace, where the fun never sleeps.
Well, as we take a look at the conference standings, we can see that only 3 Ohio Athletic Conference teams remain undefeated this year. And with the win for the Cards, they are in the top half of the OAC. As Otterbein turns its attention to Week 3, they find themselves taking on one of those undefeated teams in the John Carroll Blue Streaks. Otterbein will take to the road for the first time all year at Don Shula's Stadium. And Elijah, this is a very powerful Blue Streaks offense Otterbein will see on Saturday.
Yeah, David, you're definitely right about that. John Carroll comes into this game. They're averaging 516 yards of offense per game, and they've outscored their opponents by an average of 34 points to 4 in the first 2 games of the year. For the Cardinals defense, they need to keep an eye on Blue Streak Junior gunslinger Mark Myers. He's a Pitt transfer, and he's an NFL recruit, and he is averaging 392 yards per game passing the ball this year. Otterbein's going to have to stop Myers if they want to win this game.
Yeah, and their victory last year, they were very fortunate that Myers was out with a concussion in that one. Otterbein wasn't even expecting, or they're expecting him to play come game day. He wasn't even ready to play. Well, this is also a John Carroll defense that has vastly improved from past seasons. The Cardinal offense needs to keep an eye, the defense needs to keep an eye out for the senior linebacker Mitch Croats, who is the reigning OAC Player of the Week. He had 7 solo tackles, 3.5 for a loss, in JCU's upset win over Baldwin Wallace. Well, every week we like to end the show here on Cardinal Kickoff with a segment where we take a look back at a memorable moment in Otterbein football history that we like to call Football Flashback. Hall of Fame football coach Pop Warner had just 2 words to describe Albert Exodine: sheer brilliance. Exodine was a Native American born in Oklahoma. In 1905, he was sent to the Carlisle Indian Industrial School, a boarding school in Pennsylvania established to educate Indians. Prior to his enrollment, Exodine had never picked up a football in his life. However, Exodine excelled at the game as an end, winning All-American honors in 1906 and 1907. The 1907 team, teamed up with legendary football, basketball player, and Olympian Jim Thorpe, won the national title, defeating the powers of the day such as Harvard and Minnesota. After playing at Carlisle, Exodine started a coaching career which began in Westerville. He became the school's 12th head coach in 1909. Over a 3-year period, his Cards would go 15-7-3, including 2 wins over the University of Cincinnati and 1 over Ohio University. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1970. Well, Elijah, before we sign off here on Cardinal Kickoff, let's get your final thoughts for Saturday's game and a score prediction.
Well, David, I think Sizemore, McCoy, and Carpenter are all going to have big days, and I think Otterbein is going to come out on top with this one of 27-21. They'll stop the gunslinger of Myers, and I think that Otterbein is going to pull this one out just barely, and they'll squeak by John Carroll. I'm
going to say this one's going to be a track meet. I'm going to say Otterbein gets it done 37-31. I'm going to say both quarterbacks have a huge day. Myers throws for over 300 yards, but Ben Sizemore also has a career day as well, throwing for close to 300 yards. And the Otterbein offense is able to get it done too with the run game, something we haven't seen much in the first 2 games of the week. Well, we'd like to thank you for watching Cardinal Kickoff. Reminder, if you can't make it up to Cleveland for Saturday's game, you can listen to it on WOBN 97.5. Myself and John Bazico will have the call, and you can watch highlights of the game on next week's episode of Cardinal Kickoff. So for everyone on the crew, my co-producer, Elijah Gonzalez, myself, David Kinder, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Columbus Square Bowling Palace. Thanks for watching Cardinal Kickoff. Keep it locked and go Cards.
Who says 30 can't be fun? The Columbus Square Bowling Palace is turning 30, and the fun has just begun. Come celebrate our birthday with us. With 64 lanes of bowling open 24 hours for fun with friends and family, no matter what time it is, there's always time at the Palace. The Palace is the perfect place to hold your birthday party or corporate employee groups. Call us today to make your reservation. 30 years old and better than new, with millions of dollars in renovations at the highest rated bowling center in Columbus, the Columbus Square Bowling Palace.